Filling the gap. It's a phrase that really makes you think, doesn't it? We've all seen it. Some people seem to hit every green light in life, soaring to incredible success, while others, despite equal effort, just can't seem to catch a break. Why does one person thrive when others doing the exact same thing seem to fall short? The standard answers usually point to things like hard work, intelligence, talent, and perseverance. And yes, these are undoubtedly crucial. Take, for instance, two aspiring musicians. Both practice tirelessly, write compelling songs, and try to network. Yet one lands a record deal and sells out stadiums, while the other, equally talented and dedicated, plays to small crowds for years, never quite breaking through. Why? Or consider two startups with identical business plans targeting the same market. Both teams work 80-hour weeks, secure seed funding, and develop innovative products. But one goes on to become a multi-billion-dollar tech giant, while the other folds within 3 years. Was it simply a matter of who worked harder? Unlikely. What if, as some billionaires suggest when they mention luck, there's a deeper, less visible layer at play? This isn't just about chance. It's about the very fabric of how success and failure seem to be distributed. This leads us to a fascinating, almost philosophical question. What if there's a sophisticated algorithm or an underlying system orchestrating these outcomes? Imagine if our reality operates on a kind of grand cosmic code, where every event, every twist of fate, is a programmed step. In such a scenario, some individuals might be destined for roles that fill the gap. Whether that gap is a position of immense wealth, a specific societal function, or even a particular struggle designed to shape others. This idea isn't new. It echoes through various schools of thought, and we can find real-life parallels, even in the lives of the most influential, for better or worse, figures in history. Think of someone like Bill Gates. While his genius and drive are undeniable, he often speaks of the immense luck of being in the right place, at the right time, the dawn of the personal computer era, with the right skills, to capitalize on the opportunity that became Microsoft. Had he been born 50 years earlier, or in a less developed country, his path would have been vastly different. Was he destined to fill the gap of pioneering the PC software industry? Consider the greatest generation in the U.S. They came of age during the Great Depression and World War II. Their collective experience of hardship and victory forged a generation known for resilience and nation building. They filled a historical gap that required immense sacrifice and unity. Even historical leaders like presidents or prime ministers often find themselves in power not just due to their ambition, but because a specific historical moment demanded their particular skills. A Lincoln for the Civil War, a Churchill for World War II, a Franklin D. Roosevelt for the Great Depression. Their individual traits, combined with the desperate needs of their nations, seemed to align perfectly. Were they filling a gap of leadership that history required? Many spiritual traditions believe in karma or a divine plan. If someone repeatedly faces financial struggles despite immense effort, a spiritual perspective might suggest they are filling a gap in terms of learning humility, resilience, or detachment from material wealth in this lifetime. Conversely, someone who finds unearned success might be seen as fulfilling a role that requires them to be a benefactor, a leader, or a catalyst for change. Think of figures like Malala Yousafzai, who faced immense adversity but rose to become a global advocate for education. Her journey, in this view, was perhaps a predetermined role to inspire millions. Then there are figures like Adolf Hitler or Genghis Khan. From a spiritual perspective, some might argue they were also filling a gap, not of positive contribution, but of immense disruption, testing humanity, or fulfilling a collective karmic debt. Their destructive paths, while horrifying, undeniably led to vast shifts in global power, demographics, and ideology, setting the stage for subsequent historical developments. They were catalysts, albeit profoundly negative ones, in a larger historical unfolding. While purely speculative, if we are in a simulation, then think about the sheer number of people who perform essential but often unseen roles that keep society functioning. The sanitation workers, the local farmers, the bus drivers. They are absolutely vital. In a simulation, these individuals might be filling the gap of necessary background processes or essential non-player characters that enable the main narratives to unfold. They are the bedrock, without whom the successful narratives couldn't exist. Consider also the vast majority of scientists and researchers throughout history who contribute incrementally to our knowledge, laying the groundwork for a few breakthrough Nobel laureates. Are these foundational contributors, filling the gap in the advancement of human knowledge, indispensable but less celebrated? This is where real-world algorithms are most evident. Consider two children born on the same day. One in an affluent neighborhood with access to top schools, nutritious food, and a vast network of opportunities, and the other in a poverty-stricken area with underfunded schools, limited resources, and systemic barriers. Even if both children possess similar innate intelligence and drive, the algorithm of their birth circumstances creates a vastly different set of probabilities for their life outcomes. The child from the disadvantaged background might be filling the gap of maintaining the lower rung of the economic ladder, a role often perpetuated by systemic inequities. This isn't about their inherent worth, but the system they are born into. Think about inherited wealth. Someone born into a family with billions of dollars starts with an astronomical advantage, almost guaranteeing a certain level of success, or at least comfort, irrespective of their individual effort compared to someone starting from scratch. This privilege acts as a powerful algorithm for their life path. Even within politics, think of the party loyalists, the campaign volunteers, the local organizers. They are the essential machinery, filling the gap of grassroots effort, without which no leader, however charismatic, could ascend to power. Their roles are often unseen but critical to the system of political success. Now, let's inject some cutting-edge physics into this discussion. Could this algorithm be rooted in the very laws of the universe? For centuries, Newtonian mechanics, developed by Isaac Newton, painted a picture of a perfectly deterministic universe. If you knew the precise position and momentum of every particle at one moment, you could, in principle, predict the entire future and past of the universe. This view, famously articulated by Pierre-Simon Laplace, who imagined a demon capable of such calculations, suggests that everything is fundamentally predetermined. If this is true, then our lives, our successes, our failures, even our sense of free will, could simply be the unfolding of these initial conditions, like a vast cosmic clockwork. Here, filling the gap would be a pre-programmed function. However, the 20th century brought new complexities. Chaos theory, pioneered by scientists like Edward Lorenz, showed that even in perfectly deterministic systems, tiny, imperceptible differences in initial conditions can lead to vastly different, unpredictable outcomes over time. This is the famous butterfly effect. A butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil could, theoretically, contribute to a hurricane in Florida. This means even if there's a grand algorithm, our inability to know every tiny detail makes long-term prediction impossible. So, while the system might be deterministic, our experience of it feels very much like chance. It makes filling the gap less about pre-programmed roles and more about the emergent, unpredictable paths that arise from countless minute interactions. The deepest challenge to classical determinism comes from quantum mechanics, which describes the behavior of matter and energy at the atomic and subatomic levels. Here, events aren't always predictable. They are often described in terms of probabilities. For instance, an electron's exact position might only be known probabilistically, not with certainty. The act of observation itself can influence the outcome. This inherent randomness at the fundamental level of reality, as described by physicists like Werner Heisenberg with his uncertainty principle, suggests that the universe might not be entirely deterministic. If true, it leaves a gap for genuine randomness, and perhaps even for some form of free will, even if we don't fully understand how consciousness fits in. Some physicists, like John Conway and Simon Kochen with their free will theorem, have even argued that if we possess free will, then elementary particles must also exhibit a similar kind of freedom or indeterminacy. Finally, consider the second law of thermodynamics, a fundamental law of physics. In a closed system, entropy, a measure of disorder or randomness, always tends to increase over time. The universe as a whole is considered a closed system. This means the cosmos is constantly moving from states of order and available energy to states of increasing disorder and dissipated energy. From this perspective, the universe itself is filling a gap, moving towards a state of maximum entropy, often called the heat death of the universe, where all energy is uniformly distributed and no further work or complex processes are possible. Our existence, the formation of stars, galaxies, and life, these are temporary pockets of order, fleeting moments where energy is organized, resisting the universal push towards ultimate disorder. Are we, as complex, ordered beings, temporarily filling a gap of localized order in a universe inexorably heading toward ultimate chaos? Beyond science and philosophy, for billions, the idea of a preordained path, or a gap-filling purpose, finds its most profound expression in religious faith. In Christianity, the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ are central. The New Testament recounts how Jesus repeatedly knew his fate, predicting his betrayal, suffering, and crucifixion. For example, in the Gospels, he tells his disciples, "The Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and he must be killed and after 3 days rise again." So why did he allow it? From a Christian theological perspective, Jesus' death wasn't a tragic end but a deliberate, necessary act, a preordained sacrifice to fill the gap between humanity and God, bridging the chasm of sin. His suffering and resurrection fulfilled ancient prophecies and established the covenant that led to the formation of the Christian church, and ultimately, Christianity as we know it. His life and death were not random events, but the ultimate act of gap-filling in a divine algorithm designed for redemption. He was the chosen one to fulfill a specific, crucial role in a cosmic plan. Across many religions, the lives of prophets and spiritual leaders, like Moses, Mohammed, Buddha, and Guru Nanak, often appear to be pre-written. They emerge at specific historical junctures, possess unique insights, and their actions catalyze massive shifts in human consciousness and civilization. Were they also filling a gap in humanity's spiritual or moral evolution, appearing precisely when their teachings were most needed to guide populations? Many faiths teach that every individual has a unique, divinely appointed purpose or a role to play in the larger tapestry of creation. Whether it's to experience joy, overcome adversity, serve others, or simply exist as part of the divine flow, your life's journey might be seen as filling a gap in the grand design of the universe as conceived by a higher power. Your successes, your struggles, the people you meet, all could be part of an intricate, purposeful algorithm unfolding around you. The notion that we might be filling the gap can be both unsettling and intriguing. Does it diminish free will? If an underlying system is guiding everything, does our effort even matter? Or does our effort become a part of that system, a necessary input for the algorithm to run? While we lack scientific proof for such a grand algorithm, it's a powerful way to frame our experiences. It encourages us to look beyond the surface, to question why things unfold as they do, and to ponder our place in the grand scheme of things. What do you think? Is filling the gap just a metaphor for the random complexities of life, or does it hint at a deeper, unseen order, perhaps even encoded in the very laws of physics, or a profound divine plan? Let us know in the comments below.